That's what it's all about, writing, creating, songwriting. Hopefully we'll come up with something that you're going to like to listen to or dance to. That's what it's all about. Right now I'd like to feature our band, Vida. We're from Grand Rapids and we're a four-piece. We got my cousin Jesse Marino out playing drums and singing lead vocals. Got Junior Ortiz, Jose Ortiz, that's what he likes to be called. And he plays guitar and lead vocals, and then we got his brother Ed Ortiz on bass guitar and lead vocals, myself on the keyboards and guitar and lead vocals. So we all sing, we all do backup, we enjoy doing it. And we're going to feature a song right now that Jesse and I wrote. It's called Far Away. And keeping in mind we're no Lennon and McCartney, but we try. And as Richard Marx always says, you got to write 100 bad songs before you finally hit that one that makes it. So here it is, Vida and Far Away. It goes like this. Well, what did you think? Kind of far away from being a hit, huh? Well, Jesse, we better start writing number 101. Next, from the southwest of Grand Rapids, we got a four-piece band, which means if you have one of the members, you got a quarter of the band. Maybe that's how they got their name. Here's the quarter band. So what do you think about local bands in West Michigan?
There's some good ones and bad ones. unfortunately, a lot of the bad ones have got all the work.
What do you attribute that to? What do you think?
No money. They work for $160 a night, $150 a night for 5 people, 4 or 5 people. That's not a lot of money. Sometimes you got to do that, I guess. We try not to, but sometimes it's unavoidable.
You blame that on the bartender or the bar owners because they don't want to spend it.
Well, you know, it's really hard to say, but I'm sure part of it is that way. But they got a lot of expenses to meet too, but it doesn't help us any, you know. So there's got to be a point where we can make more money because the beer prices always go up.
That's right. You're not always appreciated. Sometimes you are. You can usually tell on the first set. You usually try to play a lot of your more complicated pieces, you know, something that really shows what you can do. You try to do those on your first set so that you can see if the people appreciate it. And a lot of times they do, though. I don't know, at least for us, I've noticed that they do. But now when you get to the third or fourth set, they couldn't care less who's up there playing by that time. But really, if you really want them to show the appreciation, you almost need to do it, you know, at the start of the night. And that's really about the best way to do it anyway.
Hey, you guys ought to release that as a single. This song didn't give the guitar player a chance to really do his licks. You ought to hear this guy. I've heard him. He probably taught Satriani a lot of licks. 3 of those guys are brothers. Can you guess which 3? Well, moving right along, we're going to go visit a distant friend, Midnight Rider.
Well, we're working real heavily in the club circuit around Grand Rapids. Whenever we can, we try to do a concert here and there. We did the Special Olympics last year, opened for the Oak Ridge Boys and Nitty Gritty Dirt Band at DeVos Hall. Possibly we're going to be doing some more concerts out at Club Eastbrook in the near future. Have some things coming up as far as that's concerned. Well, we've been together since '84. The name's been out there since 1984. I think that longevity has a lot to do with it. Of course, the longer a band's together, if a band's together a year, usually they're considered a good band because it's hard to keep a band together for a long time. You know, it's not a real easy business. We try to keep writing new material and learning new songs and going into the studio and keeping active as far as our current repertoire and our writing's concerned.
Don't you think there's don't you think there should be more support for local bands like yourselves, especially you guys are in the studio recording new material, original material, songwriting, and once you have that recorded, you have a master. What could Grand Rapids do to promote that? And you see
WCZ Radio here in town, Ed Buchanan, program director, has been real supportive of local talent. We've got a lot of support from CUZ as far as airplay. They've been real supportive of us as far as country. I used to play in rock and roll bands, and that's a different story. It's really hard to break into a country or a rock and roll station or a top 40 for some reason. Country seems to be more down to earth and open to new ideas and new artists. I think there, as you can see in the Nashville scene right now, there's probably more new artists breaking. Like Garth Brooks, he's got the #1 pop album. It's been on the charts for like 10 weeks or something like that. And he's also got the #10 on the pop chart, in Billboard magazine. So, country, a lot of new artists are being introduced into country music, and it seems to be more open to.
Well, the biggest thing is that you got to put something together and you got to stick with it, and find personalities that work together and set some goals and work at it, and try to get as good as you can as quick as you can. There's not a lot of places to play, but the people that stand out are the ones that are going to get noticed. And some of the ways you can do that, just try to be as professional as you can in everything you do, related to the business. When you set up, when you tear down, in your performance, and the way you handle yourself with the audience and club owners. That's what it's all about. It doesn't matter what level you're at, whether you're a major star, whether you're, still playing clubs like we are. See the same people on the way down that you meet on the way up, and you got to treat everybody right. And you just have to conduct yourself like a professional and give something people to remember about you that's good, and that they, will think well of you. And if you got all that together and the music's good, then you're going to succeed if you stick with it. At whatever level you decide you want to succeed at.
This band and working with this band is pretty much the best group of guys I ever worked with, and we all get along great. And the crowds in the bar are a little different than I'm used to, and I kind of like getting out. And some of the shows we did, I just never thought I'd ever be in a band that, went as far as we have, as far as open up for main acts and things. And so the crowds do make a big difference. I love the crowds. That's also a new experience for me, hearing the song on the radio. But really, the video helped out a lot and got us going. For some of our shows and stuff, it's a good promo pusher, and big step for us. I think Distant Friend was a song that really pushed us over.
Well, I'd like to see us go, full time if possible, and start, doing some touring, or, whether it's opening up for some other major acts, or, hopefully becoming, a big act ourselves. We just have to keep pushing on, and I'm gonna hang in there as long as as long as it's going good.
And we thought, we rearranged it quite a bit and put harmonies in the beginning of it. And thought it was a catchy song in the first place, and played with it a little bit and kind of gave it our own slant.
Where did you record your smoke?
Out at Elbow Studios, yeah, here in Grand Rapids, out on Plainfield.
So it's all locally done.
Yeah.
And the video is.
That was shot at DeVos Hall. We did a concert at DeVos Hall about 2 years ago, I think it was, and had a bunch of footage shot there, and that's accumulation of the
So
footage.
this video we're going to watch is totally West Michigan.
Totally West Michigan.
I still feel the past each time you touch me. Will the fire in your eyes never end? I'm so afraid our love may turn to ashes. Well, I still feel the shadow of your distant friend. Like a muddy river running wild and deep, you've got a flame in memory that keeps burning me. Just when the sun is shining, I'll step in. Well, I still feel the shadow of your distant friend. Well, it's a major heartache when you lose your trust, and the love you're feeling, well, it begins to rust. Just when the sun is shining, I'll step in. Well, I still feel the shadow of your distant friend. I still feel the past each time you touch me. Will the fire in your eyes never end? I'm so afraid our love may turn to ashes. Well, I still feel the shadow of your distant friend. You know I really love you, but your heart's confused by that aching feeling. Oh, it keeps haunting you. Just when the sun is shining, I'll step in. Well, I still feel the shadow of your distant friend. I still feel the past each time you touch me. Will the fire in your eyes never end? I'm so afraid our love may turn to ashes. Well, I still feel the shadow of your distant friend.
Well, we started our band as a lark. There were two of us. Both of us were reporters at that time for the Louisville Times, and we discovered we played guitars. I didn't play very well. He played quite well. He was a musician. And we started playing and figuring out songs, and it was just enormous fun, a good time. And then another reporter decided to be our agent. In fact, he showed up that first night. He got us a job the first day. And he showed up that night with his shirt unbuttoned down to his navel and had chains on and everything, playing the part of an agent. And it was really great fun. All of our friends came. And, well, as time went by, years went by, we got more serious. And we added people to the band. And suddenly, instead of just the two of us plunking on a guitar, we had 5 people. And we had jobs to get and jobs to fulfill. And we started arguing about which direction we were headed. Should we be more country? Should we be more popular music? Should we be contemporary? Should we work in jazz? And it really got to be frustrating. And I couldn't really be the musical leader because I wasn't capable. I had to memorize every song we did. So the dissension started, and we had one guy that started playing chords. I knew when I sang that something was wrong. But I'd say, is anybody playing a weird chord in that? We didn't do that before. And, and nobody ever answered. And so one night we were playing the Hyatt Regency in Louisville on the mezzanine. It was a good job. And a friend of mine came by, and it was the first time he'd ever heard us play. And he was sitting out in the audience, and I saw him there. We took a break. And we had just gone, in fact, through one of those songs where I thought the thing sounded funny. And I was getting frustrated. I mean, hey, you go to work in the morning at 8 o'clock, and you get off at, say, 6. Then you go to work at your nighttime job at 9. You get off at 2:30, and all of a sudden you realize you have no life. You're getting tired. You're walking around like a zombie, and that's the state of mind I was in on this point. So anyway, I went to have a beer with my friend, and I said, what do you think? And he said, you're pretty good. You're a lot better than I thought. But who does that guy playing the guitar over there play with, that blonde-headed guy? And I said, what do you mean? He plays with us. And he said, no, he doesn't.
Hi, welcome to Video Soundtrax Show. I'm Dan Salas, and on this particular show we're going to feature a local West Michigan rock and roll icon figure of the 50s, Del Shannon. We're going to be talking to family members, and we're going to interview local musicians that knew Del Shannon as well. And with that, let's get the show on the road.
Our theme for our Summerfest this year was Remember When, and I'm sure a lot of us are remembering a lot of good memories tonight listening to Del's music. So we got a collage together of pictures of Del when he was younger, some things that might be interesting for him. It says, Del Shannon, Remember When, Coopersville Summerfest, July 29, 1988.
I work all over the place. After work here, I get nervous. You say, ever get nervous? I say, no, unless I'm working Coopersville.
And seeing as how you've been in all these places, we are going to give you this T-shirt that says, London, Paris, Rome, Coopersville.
All right. Back home, baby. That's wonderful. Thanks a lot. I noticed one thing on here. There's Mr. Conran up there with his authoritative, of course, way of saying, Charles, you did it again. Down in the locker room you go, mate, you know.
Well, you'd flatter him to call him a student. He didn't exactly spend much time in his classes. He had a passion for the guitar, and he came to school finally with it, and I didn't want him upsetting the school routine, so I made him leave it in my office during school hours. Told him he couldn't play it during school hours. But he was clever enough. That didn't cover the noon hour. So he took advantage of that, and he played during the noon hour. And he'd get in this classroom, and pretty soon they'd have a gang of kids in there. This was when they ate sack lunches, you know, brought them. And they'd leave the room upset, and the teacher would become aggravated and come to me. So I'd move him to another classroom. And the teacher would eventually come to me, and I kept moving him around down in the boys' locker room, and finally spring came out of doors. But he kept on playing, and kids liked his playing and enjoyed it. And I didn't squelch him. I thought there were a lot of things going on at noon hour that weren't half as good as him playing the guitar. So he kept on playing, and finally came his graduation time. He was near to flunking and thinking of quitting school. I told him he couldn't quit. I wouldn't let him. That he'd better get busy in his classroom. And he squeaked by and got his diploma. And it was my custom at the end of the graduation ceremony to stand in the back of the auditorium and shake hands with those that were leaving. When he came to me, I just said to him, Charles, he'd caused me so much trouble, you see. I said, if I ever see you again, let it be on TV. I thought it a tremendous joke. But the next time I saw him, it was on TV. And I never had any idea, you know, if I'd have known he was going to be a celebrity, I might have treated him with more deference than I did. But that was the way it was.
And there's the football team. Wow. Yeah, I was the water boy in that thing. Now I'm playing my guitar, which I always wanted to do anyway. I used to hide my helmet, do anything rather than play football. And then you live in Cooper, so when you ain't on the team, you ain't much, right?
Now let's catch Del Shannon performing at Shout in 1990, which is now called The Works on Lake Michigan Drive.
Hello everybody, how are you? Once I had a pretty girl, her name it doesn't know. She went away with another guy, and I won't even look at her. I talked to her, he broke your heart, just like he broke mine with you. Said we must part. You told me lies, no, you turned me. And the day said goodbye to you.
heard this band all the way back in Graceland. Stay tuned for more video soundtracks. Hope.
Live down here on Main Street at the main stage, we have the DeVelles with Mike Popenhagen.
Max Crook struck a chord, A minor to G, and Del said, "What was that?" And then he kind of played it, and he said, "Follow me," and the song went something like this.
I believe it was, he brought a tape of Runaway to my house, and he had a little tape player, and he said, I have something, Linda, I have something I want you to hear. And he played his Runaway tape, and he said, do you think this will be a hit? I mean, I'm like, oh yeah, I think so. And it was.
Yeah, he said that I had a style on my own. He thought that he was going to help me. But other things, you know, dampened on it, so.
That's quite a while ago.
I'm lost in a memory. The site where the Hilo Club used to be, where that all happened, where Runaway was written, is owned by the city now, that land. So I had to first get approval from the city commission. They would not fund it or give me any money or pay for it. That was up to me. And the next step was I went to Lansing to the State Historical Commission. From then, it was kind of like, you know, the next step was raise the funds to pay for it. The marker itself, which is the kind you see around the state, has the state historical emblem on it, that was about $1,200. We decided to build design a replica of the record, the original 45. And that was, I went to a monument company and I drew up some drawings of it, got some prices, and we finally settled on a design that was about 6 feet in diameter, and it's about 4 inches thick, and it's made out of two kinds of granite, a red and a black. And the cost of that was about $6,000. Then we had to have a base constructed, and that was another $3,000 or $4,000. So the whole thing was around $11,000. It's kind of neat because it's the only state historical marker that honors an entertainer.
I'm lost in a memory. Where can she be? I'm lost in a memory.
Well, I wrote that song a couple weeks after Del died. And it was wrote about Del Shannon, but the reason I call it my best friend Charlie is because his real name was Charles Westovers. And I always called him Chuck and things, so I wrote it about the end feeling, you know. I didn't want to say my best friend Del, you know. Because Del wasn't my best friend, you know. Charlie was. Del was my hero, you know. See, Charlie was my friend and Del was my hero, I guess.
Out of school to tell me the death of my friend, and everyone knew him as Del Shannon. but not to me. I knew him as Charlie, and I know that he's so far away, but every night I always pray we'll meet again under God in heaven. And his picture still hangs on my wall, and my tears will always fall over Charlie, over Charlie. Well, my best friend was Charlie. We sang together and had some good times until he left me behind to wonder why he's gone to make others cry. And my head keeps playing his song, and every time I sing along with his voice, he'd be alive if it was my choice. And his picture still hangs on my wall, and my tears will always fall over Charlie, over Charlie. Well, my best friend was Charlie.
Now let's see what Del Shannon thinks of Club Shout back in 1989. This is his last Grand Rapids performance, folks.
It's wonderful to be here. What a great club, are you kidding? I'd like to do a song now recorded, I think it was 1962. It was a long time. Recorded in New York City.
all these years, and so will Video Soundtrax. You make sure you keep it right here on this public access station.
I think the reason we remember him fondly because of some great records, and of course he's a local lad coming from Coopersville, you know, and basically he goes back to my stomping days, you know, the 60s, and some fun stuff. And of course, I think every singer at one time has sung Runaway, you know, which was his biggest, you know, so fond memories, you know.
Limo would pull up here in front, and he'd come, you know, and he'd just sit down, have coffee, just like, you know, the next guy. No big splashy anything about him. You know, real down-to-earth guy.
He was a high school kid who made it, and his songs were hot. So through him we saw there was a chance. It was an inspiration. Without someone who had made it from Michigan, it would have been just a little bit harder to keep on keeping on, you know. So I just remember his music as wonderfully fun. And even though his tunes came out a little bit before we were actually playing, I remember sitting up in my upstairs bedroom window with my very best friend harmonizing to his tunes.
Del Shannon was, Charles Westover was a decent, nice human being. And he was. And he loved his music.
I'd like to do this next song. I wrote this song, I think, about 10 years ago while I was in high school. Nobody did now. I wrote this about, actually, now that we're in Michigan, I divulged this. This song was about a girl I used to know when I was going to school. She lives in Allendale. Heard of that? That's smaller than Coopersville, I think. Is anybody here from Coopersville? Yeah. How about Grand Rapids? Yeah. Anyway, this was a top 10 record for me in '63, I think. When she comes, little town, falling for her.
Hey man, you're watching Video Soundtracks right here on your local cable channel, and don't you touch that remote, baby, because I'll come back and haunt you with my worst song. Yeah.
This is the instrument used on the record, and it's the instrument that was used in the High-Low Club. The whole thing, the keyboard and so forth are there. I didn't bring the old tape slap box and some of the other parts because it's just, some of them are getting old, and we've got hum problems as it is with this thing, you know. And but anyway, that's the real keyboard there, and that's the regular amp that's there. It's called a Musitron, and it's something that I made out of parts and pieces of another instrument, probably 3 other instruments actually, and some other electronic parts. And we put it together and so that it would have various sounds. It would have echo, it would have reverb, you could bend notes with it. The pitch on that thing is from about 14 cycles a second up higher than you can hear. So there's tremendous range even though it has 2.5 octaves. Basically, I was his keyboard player, and we played together at the High-Low Club in Battle Creek, which is now a bank parking lot. We came up with the idea for the song up on the stage at the High-Low Club, and that bridge actually came to me in probably less than 5 minutes. It was just something that fit in there, and I had the Musitron already. It was an electronic device, so I just played it on that, and it all seemed to fit together. We then recorded it, and as we recorded it, there were a few people there, but we kept playing it over and over, trying to get it right, and pretty soon people say, "Don't you guys know anything else?" You know how that goes when you're trying to play a club. So when I took this tape over to Ollie McLaughlin, who was a disc jockey in Ann Arbor, who had the record connection in Detroit, he played it, and he said, "Well, these are all good songs, but what's this one you guys covered up?" He said, "I hear a little bit of it, but I don't hear it all." And he said, "It sounds interesting. Can you guys go back and re-record that?" And we said, "Yeah, we'll do that." So we brought the tape recorder back in and re-recorded the song, and he took it into Harry Balk and Irving in Detroit, Big Top Records. And they listened to it, and they said, "Well, the song is very strange. It's different. It sounds like maybe there are 2 or 3 different songs put together. It's got a lot of gimmicks and stuff. They don't seem to fit. I don't know if we want to record this or not." So they took him in and recorded The Search, and with strings and everything, and that was not his first release. They didn't like it, so it sat in the can for a while. And Ollie said, "If you don't record this Runaway, I'm going to take it to somebody else."
Well, man, it's awesome because, you know, he comes up with the same instrument that he used in the studio with Del, that Musitron, maybe about like that big, and it's awesome to be able to have that same sound that, you know, that they used back in 1960 when they recorded that. And Max is a real nice guy. I know he's a Christian, and so we kind of relate there, and so, man, he's a pleasure working with.
On All Stars, you hear things about the spectacular and the bad. They always stand out, but with Charles Westover is how I knew him, which was his real name. The man had compassion. He was compulsive. He had to remain aloof somewhat in the professional sense, you know, because otherwise he'd be drowned by everybody. But he had a great feeling for people and how they felt. And he wanted to please everybody. Part of his frustration was that you can't please everybody.
He's not just this one-hit wonder who had one hit song and then went into obscurity.
Tom Petty, you know, revived his career in '81 when he produced Drop Down and Get Me. Jeff Lynne produces his very last album with Mike Campbell. I mean, Del was always sought after by the biggest names because he was a great singer. He was a great songwriter. He was a great singer and a great player too. He doesn't get a lot of credit as a guitar player.
Lost in a memory.